What is up, guys? Welcome to another video, and today we're going to be discussing the handling slider in Need for Speed 2015, because I think I have a few tips which you guys might be able to use when you guys play Need for Speed on launch, you know, soon. So without further ado, let's get straight in to today's video. Okay, so the handling slider, it's a pretty interesting thing. To be honest, it changes from car to car. There is no overall universal setup which will work on every other car. Just like real cars, you know, you can't go ahead and take a drift build on, say, an S13 and expect it to work on an Aventador. They're both different cars, and you know, the tire pressures and the spring rates are all going to have to change. And it's the same in Need for Speed. There is no universal setup. Although I kind of had one universal setup, I did have to tweak it to each car to kind of suit its needs and make it work. Now, obviously, with the handling slider, you can either go to full-on drift, full-on grip, or somewhere in the middle of both. Now, if you go to full-on drift, it's mad. It's overkill, in my opinion. If you go all the way to grip or all the way to drift, it's just complete overkill. It drifts way too much, and then vice versa, it grips way too much. You kind of need to get it balanced in the middle. Now, for me personally, most of my builds were kind of in the middle of neutral and drift, so it's kind of a good balance of that. I feel like most of my builds kind of did a really good job. However, I did do a few full-on grip builds, and it was interesting to say the least. So before you actually tune your car, you've got to ask yourself a few questions. What are you going to be using this car for? Drift events, or are you going to be using it for time trial events, you know, sprint events? Are you going to be using it for getting away from the cops? What is the purpose for the car? Obviously, for drift events, you're going to want to make it more drift focused, and obviously for time trial events and sprint races, you're going to want to make it more grip focused. And then if you're, you know, trying to evade against the cops, you want a balance of each. So it really depends on what you kind of want to do with your car. You can obviously go ahead and just use the master slider if you're feeling a bit lazy, but I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you kind of want to go in depth and know what to do with each handling section. And honestly, it depends on what your car, you know, what you want to do with your car. Generally, if you put the sliders more towards the left, the individual sliders more towards the left, then it's going to be more drift focused. However, if you put it more to the right, it's going to be more grip focused. So that alone should kind of give you an indication on how to tune each slider. Now, the handling slider is something which is really important. I highly advise you guys to spend some time with the handling tuning and get your your tunes right, and just spend a bit more time in it, because honestly, if you have a grip build, it is literally completely different to a drift build, and having that, you know, that change, that difference, is going to be really key to doing well in the game. So I hope I helped somewhat in this video. If I did, hit the like, subscribe. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and peace.